Good afternoon, and welcome to Tennessee River Park. I'm here with Reverend Doug Werth, Unity Minister, actually, Reverend Doug Werth.
Reverend Doug Werth.
Yeah. We're here in Tennessee River Park, and why are we here today, Doug?
Well, we're here as kind of a midweek pickup.
Okay.
Something like that. We're going to read the daily. We're going to read the daily word.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about that, maybe the evolution of it a little bit, and why that's important in our lives, and what it can do to kind of help us find some peace and clarity in our lives.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing, finding peace and clarity.
Yeah. Well, it's all part of a personal spiritual practice, and. The daily word, at least for me and many other people, has been instrumental in helping us start something like that. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna read it, and we're going to give a little history behind it.
Well, I'm excited. We're here in Tennessee River Park in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we're actually in Pavilion number 1, and this is actually the pavilion we'll be in this Sunday, which is July
18th.
July 18th, this Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. We're going to be here, and we're going to be joined here, and we're going to feature
Sean O'Shea.
Doug, you're filling in everything for me today. What's going on, bro?
Well, that's all right.
we're going to be featuring Sean O'Shea, and is he a Unity minister or is he?
No, I don't think so. But he's he's a gifted singer-songwriter.
Okay.
And he's also an excellent speaker. We've had him here at Unity of Chattanooga several times before, and like I say, he's an excellent speaker, a gifted musician. He's going to bring his own keyboard, and so we'll have music and everything with it.
Yeah, this will be our first time getting together in person. Well, actually, we've been together at a picnic here in Tennessee Park.
Yeah, I think a month or so ago.
Yeah, and we had a good time that day. Actually.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
it's hot.
Hot. But it was a great time.
Yeah.
So we're going to be here this Sunday at 11 o'clock with Sean O'Shea, and this will be our first time live streaming also from the park.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing the AV, and I'm a little nervous about that, Doug, because I've never done a live stream church service in a park. I've never done a live stream church service at all. This is the first live stream that we're doing here on Facebook.
Well, one thing I can tell you, every Sunday morning, you're the fella who puts it all together, and you've done an excellent job at that. So I have all the confidence in the world. You'll do great.
Well, thank you for that, Doug, and I want to thank you for stepping in for us. I mean,
that's okay.
Yeah, we recently lost a minister, and Doug just kind of stepped in and done some things for us that we really appreciate what you've done so far.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. I'm happy to be involved again.
Yeah. So we're here today to talk about the daily word. So what are you going to do? Where do we start with this, Doug?
Well, I think we start basically with who are the people that come to Unity, and for many of us, and myself included, we left the church that we grew up with, if we had one, and we were always, or many of us anyways, were always searching for something that we couldn't quite put our finger on.
Yeah, definitely.
And many of us have gone from teacher to teacher, seminar to seminar, book to book, church to church. Looking for whatever that was. And for many of you in Unity, myself I can speak for, we went to our first Unity service and said, oh man, that's what I've been looking for.
You're speaking for me too, Doug.
Well, excellent.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
And there are others in Unity who are still looking around, which is okay, because every church has a piece, and as we talked about a little bit earlier, there are many paths up the mountain. So we're just one of those. But I think the key thing is, what are we looking for? And for me, and for many other people, what we're really looking for is a connection to God, or a connection to a higher spiritual power, a connection where we can feel peace, where we can feel centered, something along those lines. Again, hard to describe. And that's exactly what happened 150 years ago to Charles Fillmore, Unity's eventual co-founder. He was looking around, And again, teacher after teacher, seminar after seminar. And what he found was that there were differences. You know, people were talking about this, and then the next one would say, "No, that's not the way to go.
Right.
We can do something else." And what he found, he was very, very confused by what he heard. And he was also a little bit miffed at the whole thing.
Right.
And so what he finally decided for himself, he said, you know, in this babble, that's an exact quote.
I remember that word, babble.
Babble. I'm going to go to headquarters.
Right.
And here's what he said. I'll just read this to you.
And Doug, before you read that, I just want to let our viewers know that if we're going to open it up in a little bit for you to ask questions. So Doug is going to actually read the daily word. And,
Yes.
And then he's going to just talk a little bit about the daily word.
Right.
And then after that, we'll open it up for anybody that wants to ask any questions. And if anybody's on the line and they want to send us a little chat, and we see that we got some members on already, and so we're excited to have you guys. So if you have any questions you want to ask while we're in our little
Feel free.
yeah, feel free to ask.
Well, here's what he said. In this babble, I'm going to go to headquarters. If I am spirit and this God they talk so much about is spirit, then we can somehow communicate, or the whole thing is a fraud. And that's the exact place many people who eventually come to unity find themselves in. They're confused. This teacher, that teacher, so what do I do and what am I looking for? And here's what Charles decided to do. He said, I then commenced sitting in the silence every night at a certain hour and tried to get in touch with God. There was no enthusiasm about it, no soul desire, but cold, calculating business method. He was a businessman after all. I was there on time every night and tried in all conceivable ways to realize that my mind was in touch with the Supreme Mind. In this cold intellectual attitude, one can easily understand why I did not seem to get any conscious result. But I kept at it, month after month, mentally affirming words that others told me would open the way, until it got to be a habit and I rather enjoyed it. However, a time came when I began to observe that I was having exceedingly realistic dreams. And so what happened to Charles was that he found his connection with spirit.
Okay.
And those connections are very individualistic. They're not the same for you or me or for anybody else. And so what happened with Charles was that as he got himself into various situations, as life will develop them in front of us, he had what he described as an inner knowing about what the situation was and what the right path for him was. In other words, he had found that spiritual connection, he had found that guidance, and he had found a peace within himself where he knew he could contact it. Many years later, when he and Myrtle had founded the Unity movement, he did several things that had not been done in churches before. One of those was he started a telephone prayer ministry, which is Silent Unity today. And the purpose behind that was to allow people to talk with other people and develop a way of people helping each other. Okay?
Right.
Now, the people on the prayer lines were trained, of course, but if you didn't quite know how to pray yourself, you could make a phone call and there would be somebody there with you. And the idea behind it, again, was people to people. It didn't necessarily have to be a priest or someone in a hierarchical position. The second thing he did is he and Myrtle developed a daily devotional, which today we know as Daily Word.
The Daily Word.
And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. They developed that as a way for people to start a personal spiritual practice. And what Myrtle and Charles both found in their own lives was that by going within every day for a short period of time, they could become centered, they could become more peaceful, and they could feel a contact with a higher spiritual presence. And what they wanted to do was give the average everyday person a way to start that. And so the daily word is, it takes you about 3 minutes. There's one for each day of the week. Takes about 3 minutes, maybe 4, to read. There's a scriptural reference in it, where you can look that up in the Bible, and it just helps.
Wow. Wow.
So we're going to read this a little bit later today.
Okay. Well, why not do that now? Why not just
we can.
Yeah. Why not just start out with? I have it up here, and I can run it up on the Facebook Live and let the viewers read along with you, and we can kind of just start from there if that's okay with you.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, cool.
Right.
I'm going to put it up now.
All right. Okay, so the word for today is focus. And the affirmation is, I keep my thoughts focused on God. Great peace and joy fill me when I bow my head in prayer or raise my voice in song, my mind filled with thoughts of God and my heart overflowing with love. I wish to carry these blissful feelings with me wherever I go. My spiritual connection guides me in all my travels and interactions, keeping me calm and kind, balanced and unflappable. I center myself in peace and a feeling of deep well-being, which keeps me from feeling swayed by life's transient rhythms. I meet all circumstances with calm and poise, rising above annoyances and discord. I receive others with kindness and compassion, no matter how they treat me. I respond thoughtfully and act gently, drawing my patience and perspective from my focus on God, my source of love and light. And the scriptural reading for today is from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13. When you search for me, you will find me, if you seek me with all your heart. And as I read that scriptural reference, I looked it up, and it's actually the third sentence in 3 sentences.
Okay.
And I'd like to read all 3 of those sentences because...
Now the scriptural reference, where is that located?
It's in Jeremiah.
Okay, and that's in the Daily Word. Let's show the viewers.
Right.
Because we may have some people on that are not familiar with the Daily Word, and so so I think the first word is what do we call that first word?
Well, it's the word for the day.
The word for
Daily
the day.
Word.
Okay, so focus would be the word for the day.
Right.
And
then there's an affirmation.
Okay, and the affirmation would be,
I keep my thoughts focused on God. It's in bold up at the top. Okay.
And then the scripture reading would be at the bottom. I'm showing you on the screen now, Doug.
Right.
And that would say, when you search for me, you will find me if you seek me with all your heart. Jeremiah 29:13.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you got those 3 things that's always present in the Daily Word.
Yes,
okay.
Every single time. And the nice part about it is just what I'm going to do right now. Oftentimes what you can do is you can take that scriptural reading, you can look it up for yourself, and it'll trigger other things. So I just want to read the 3 sentences that comes from. This starts with verse 11. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Then when you call upon me and come and pray with me, I will hear you. When you search for me, you will find me, if you seek me with all your heart.
Wow.
Yeah, that's heavy-duty stuff. I can't, I guess, emphasize enough. When I started, reading the Daily Word, initially it was kind of a discipline. I was in ministerial school almost 20 years ago at this point, and we would start out every morning at 7:30, and someone would get up and read the Daily Word, and then there would be 5 minutes of silence, and then they would get up and say a few words that kind of moved them at the time. And at first, it was a discipline. I had to be there at 7:30, and I'd kind of sit there and a little bit stiff, and think about the things I was going to do that day, and all that kind of stuff. But just like Charles, after a while, it was a habit. It was a discipline. I came to the point where I rather enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And after a while, there was a connection.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had something coming up that day, there was guidance. I don't want to say it was a voice, but it was a thought, that occurred. There was some guidance there. After a while, occasionally, not every time, but there was, a visual thing would go through, because you're sitting there with your eyes closed. You'd get a vision of something, and it really started a personal spiritual practice for me in the morning.
So you recommend that people read that before they start their day, maybe, or?
That's when I would do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that. They'll get up in the morning, brush your teeth,
right.
get the regular stuff out of the way. And then before you start your day, before you go rushing off with a to-do list or off to work or whatever, take a few minutes. Read it, read the affirmation, and you can take the affirmation with you all day, say that. And then just focus. And I think that, after, I don't want to say 2 days, but after a period of time, I mean, for Charles it was months. For me it was, certainly weeks and many weeks.
Well, I've just started practicing my spiritual, I think we call it a spiritual, I'm new at Unity.
Spiritual practice.
Yeah, spiritual practice. And I've just started putting together my own little spiritual practice. And
Sure.
I've been doing it for the last, I would say, maybe 2 months. And a part of that spiritual practice is to definitely read the daily word every day. And I'm going to say, man, that I'm not sure if, we got motorcycles going by.
Yeah. That's all
I'm
right.
not sure if I've become a lot more focused as a result of reading the daily word every day and doing other things in my practice. As a matter of fact, I've probably lost about maybe 15 to 20 pounds since I've
Really?
started. I lie to you not, Doug.
Wow.
I'm actually trimming down as a result of it. I'm not, that and other things that I'm doing.
Sure.
But I definitely have more focus, and so I see the benefit of reading that daily word every day.
Well, I think, whatever your practice eventually turns out to be, there's a point in the morning, if you can become centered, and get away from what we call the monkey mind and focus, and you can take that with you, and the more that you can not get caught up in the chatter, but get again
What do you mean?
centered
What do you mean when
peaceful.
you say not get caught up in the chatter?
You ever
I know
hear
what
them-
you mean, but you need to let them know.
Okay.
What do you mean when you say chat? You not get caught up in the chatter?
Well,
And why don't we need to get caught up in the chatter?
Wayne Dyer said it best. He said, all of man's troubles can be summed up in the simple observation of the difficulty of sitting in a room alone. Try that, and what happens is all this stuff goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The criticism that somebody gave you, the thing that you have to do tomorrow, the voice of your mother from the time you were 18, or all of that stuff.
Right.
Somebody, it's what we call the monkey mind.
I think Maya McFadden talked about that last week during the Sunday
Did she?
service. Yeah, she talked about that.
Unfortunately, I missed it. But,
Okay. Yeah, she talked a lot about the words that we hear in our head.
Yes.
And how if we're not careful, we follow those words. Some of them not positive,
Yeah.
and how that can lead to negative things happening to us.
Well,
our thoughts definitely play a part in our reality.
Well, what happens, and what we have found out, is that our mind is programmed. So the key is who programmed it.
Oh wow. Who programmed it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the TV?
Right.
Was it your parents? Was it your teachers?
Right.
Was it the political party that you're perhaps affiliated with?
Right.
And what this does is that it helps you do your own programming.
Right. Take charge.
Exactly. And once you can open up to inspirational messages.
Right.
Once you can quiet the monkey mind and don't just try to tune out the thoughts.
Right.
All that'll do is increase it. The idea is to take something like the Daily Word or a favorite Bible passage or an inspirational book, and read that and just contemplate it a little bit. And what's happening there is you're starting to do your own program. And once you can do that and be open to spirit, then you become a little more centered. And once that happens, you're well on your way to a spiritual practice.
Yeah, and I think they call that television what, the idiot box?
They call it many things.
many things. Look, do we have any questions going on? Do we have anybody out there on our Facebook Live page that have any questions for Doug Werth before we shut down? We're getting a lot of hearts and thumbs.
Oh, well, that's
Doug.
good.
This is actually our first broadcast.
Yeah.
We're just kind of winging it. So we have Barbara Murphy's out there, and my son is actually tuned in.
Hey.
Yeah, he's tuned in.
That's good.
And we got Margaret Dexter out there, and we have Penny Werth tuning in with us.
Excellent.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I just want to take this time to thank Penny. I mean, she's done she's done a tremendous job.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, I happen to.
I was a little, Doug, I was a little worried when we got those resignations. I'm going to be honest. I was a little worried. You know, I mean, we had a strong congregation and a strong minister, and we were moving forward. And when we got those resignations, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? You know, we were kind of.
Right.
I was like, and then AV, as far as AV, I didn't know anything about it, you know, so we were just kind of lost for a while.
Well, you stepped up to the plate.
Yeah.
You know, and certainly in that area.
And you stepped up to the plate too.
Well, yeah. You know,
everyone just kind of.
I said, you know, Penny and you, you know, knocked on the door and said, hey, would you do this? Would you do this? And of course.
I did more than knock, Doug. I was trying my best to get you to get in there with us, but and it worked after a while. But I think you had some stuff going on, some personal stuff, and.
Well, yeah. You know, as you know, I mean, I retired in 2018. But shortly after that, I had some physical issues. I had 2 major surgeries and lost 40 some odd pounds, and so when we first met, you know, maybe a year ago or something like that, I really wasn't in a condition to do much other than sleep and take pain pills.
Right.
You know? So, you know, I've gained a little weight back, and the pain has gone away, and you know, I've had excellent doctors, and they've done a fabulous job, and the recuperation is going. So I'm getting my strength back, and
Doug, you look great.
Well,
And on behalf of the board, man, I just want to thank you for stepping in. I really do.
That's all right.
Yeah, and I also want to thank Reverend Faye Ann. I mean, she's done
done great.
Yeah, great job also. All of us have really just kind of stepped up and did what we had to do. So I'm very proud of everyone.
Yeah.
I bought some tomatoes, man, from my garden. I know everybody on Facebook has been looking at these tomatoes, and I decided to bring some for you and Penny.
All right.
And I also got zucchini in there.
All right.
You guys take that home and check them out.
All right. Well, I know what we're going to have for dinner tonight on the spaghetti.
I think we got Mona Petro. She's joining us. Mona's one of our board members. She's the vice president of the board. She's here.
Okay.
She's giving us a little heart. She's saying, I love this broadcast.
She
loved it. Anybody have any questions for Doug before we leave? Any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Okay, well then.
All right.
Thank you, Doug, for coming out.
Yeah, and to all the viewers out there, this is the place come Sunday. So hope to see you all at the Tennessee River Park, Pavilion number 1, 11 o'clock. Sean O'Shea is going to be our guest speaker and musician, a man who is well versed in the Unity teachings, and also his music is great. Yeah. So it's bound to be a great time. And then we're going to have a picnic or something.
We're going to have a picnic afterwards.
Oh, cool.
I'm excited about that. Any ribs?
Well, I don't know.
I hope we have
or is it BYO?
I think it's bring your own food. That's because of the COVID stuff that's going on. Of course, we don't want to just kind of start out that way. Eventually, we'll get to the point where we'll start to share food again amongst each other. But right now, I think it's a good idea that we all just kind of bring our own stuff and stay safe. Yeah. So 11 o'clock Sunday Eastern time. We got online viewers now. We got people from all over the world watching Unity of Chattanooga.
And that's great.
Yeah. So that's great. Eastern time.
Okay.
Eastern time. So before we close, you want to say a little prayer, Jug, before we close?
Sure. Okay. Well, as we often do, we hold hands, and as we join our hands, we join our hearts and our minds together. simply give thanks for this opportunity once again to be together, to share some inspirational talks, some scriptural messages, and to simply know that as we go forward,
Yes.
there is more in store.
Yes.
Personal connection, great talks, great food, great people, and for this we are so grateful. And as we often say in Unity, thank you, God.
Thank you, God.
And
so it is. That's right.
Great.
All right, guys. So check us out. Maybe we'll come back. Would you feel like doing something like this next week,
Sure.
Wednesday?
Sure.
Okay, so maybe we'll try it again next week, Wednesday. Thank everybody for joining us.
Okay.
And we'll see you guys later.
Adios.
Adios.